NoFap is hard, no pun intended. But like for real, NoFap is really hard to do. It takes a very, very strong mind to suppress that urge, that sexual urge. It never stops coming, no pun intended. It never stops coming. And you have to be prepared for that. And I think the reason why a lot of people relapse is because they're not prepared for it. But I think that another reason why people relapse is because they get their information from these toxic YouTubers, like I said. And basically what ends up happening is they get their information from these YouTubers who hate themselves. Okay, they don't love themselves. And so they have to put others down in order to elevate themselves. And then when they relapse, they see themselves like down here, whereas the people who are on NoFap are up here. And that's not how it is. That's not how it should be. This is about bettering yourself and loving yourself and doing something because you love yourself, not so that you can love yourself. When you're giving yourself that conditional love is conditional. And so if you fall off in any other area of your life, you're going to start to fall off everywhere, because you don't love yourself anymore. So you're probably wondering, how can I love myself unconditionally? It comes down to 2 words: self-forgiveness. That is the single most important tool that you will use on this journey. And honestly, this isn't even just for NoFap. This applies to any area of life. It can apply to you eating healthier or going to the gym, reading, whatever you want to do. Self-forgiveness is very, very important. I'm going to read a journal entry that I made. Self-forgiveness is essential in breaking any thought cycle and or addiction. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it's the primary step. When one constantly berates his or herself for whatever reason, looking at you, NoFap community, that person will subconsciously begin to identify with the very thing that they wish to eliminate. So I'm going to stop you right there. Notice what I said. You're creating an identity for yourself. When you relapse, or maybe when you miss a day at the gym, or maybe you cheat on your diet, if you start this negative self-talk of, oh, I'm weak, what ends up happening is you are subconsciously creating an identity for yourself. You're saying, I am a weak person. I cannot do this. So what ends up happening? You end up relapsing again, and you just fall off this cliff, and all of a sudden, you're like, what the hell just happened? Well, I just told you what happened. You created an identity for yourself that didn't serve you on your purpose. Like I said, this can be applied to literally anything in life. I'm going to give you an example for myself. I like to go to the gym. I'm a very active person. I go to the gym like 3 to 4 times a week. I'm not no bodybuilder or anything like that, but I like to get in a good workout every few days. I remember when I first really started to get into fitness, into working out, I started to become kind of obsessed with it. And what would happen is, if I skipped a day, I would just be so down about it. I would just think to myself, I'm weak. I can't handle this. I can't do this. And little did I know, I was creating a thought cycle. And a thought cycle creates your subconscious identity for who you are. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe that you attract what you are subconsciously. Not consciously who you think you are, but subconsciously who you think you are. So when you're creating this identity for yourself, things begin to look different for you. For example, if I skipped a day at the gym, I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't like how my body would look. My body looked the exact same as if I went to the gym. But because I had created that identity for myself as being a person who's not fit, it changed my whole perception of who I was, physically and mentally. It was basically just a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think that that's what happens a lot of the time with people on NoFap, particularly because before I found out about NoFap, I had never seen that degree of self-hate in a community. It's crazy. And I see there are comments on my other NoFap video, where people are explaining how they relapsed, and they just, you can just feel the vibe of their comment, that they just feel so disappointed in themselves. And the way that I view it is, you should treat yourself the way you'd want your boss to treat you if you have a job. So for example, if I was working at a job and my boss had some constructive criticism for me, maybe there's an area that I can do better in. If he were to pull me off to the side and, say, hey, Jordan, you're doing a great job in these areas, but I noticed that there's room for improvement right here. It's like, okay, cool. No harm, no foul. Now, if my boss were to yell at me in front of all of my coworkers and the customers and everything, like, Jordan, like, what are you doing? I'd be like, who the fuck are you talking to? Treat yourself the way you would want your boss to treat you, because you're your own boss at the end of the day. You're the one that's in control of your life. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the journal entry. Once you learn to forgive yourself, you are no longer holding on to the identity that you have subconsciously created for yourself, and you will be free to create a new identity in its place, perhaps one that will serve you better. So when you forgive yourself, you got to understand, when you're harboring these feelings of self-hate and you're creating that identity for yourself, that's who you are at that moment. But if you can find it in yourself to forgive yourself for doing what you've done and to just let go of the past and the things that you can't change anymore, then you can create a whole new identity for yourself. And you can curb any addiction, any thought cycle that you may have. And like I said, this works directly with the law of attraction. If you want to attract something into your life, you got to change who you are. You can't attract wealth into your life if you have a mindset of poverty. Now, I know it might be hard. It might be hard to undo these cycles that you've created for yourself. You know, this might be like years and years of work, just constantly talking down on yourself in your mind, even if you weren't consciously aware of it. Maybe it just became so normal to you that you just didn't even notice it anymore. This is where things like depression, anxiety, this is like the root of all of these things, is when you create these identities for yourself in the background of your mind. So the first step is to let go of the past. You can't change the past, but you can change your perception of the past. Realize that a moment of weakness does not define your character. I'm going to repeat that, and I want you guys to say it with me out loud. I actually mean that. Say it out loud. A moment of weakness does not define your character. I want you to keep saying that to yourself. Write it down 100 times if you have to, but keep saying that to yourself until you get that etched into your subconscious mind. A moment of weakness does not define your character. Once you forgive yourself, once you find it in yourself to let go of the past and to change your perception of the past, then you basically have a clean slate to work with. You get the chance to redefine who you are. This is where things like affirmations come in, meditation, just positive self-talk. If you have to, write like little positive affirmations on sticky notes and put them around your room. Like, do whatever you have to do to create that new identity for yourself. And once you do that, really embrace and embody that identity. Become that person. You are redefining who you are. That is what NoFap is about. That is what any self-help thing is about. Working out. You're redefining who you are. You're going from being an unhealthy person to a healthy and fit person. Maybe it's drinking. Maybe you want to stop drinking. Redefine who you are. You are not an alcoholic. You are a person who drank alcohol. That does not define who you are. Now that you've let go of that definition, you have the chance to say, I'm clean. I'm a clean person now. I don't drink. I used to drink, but now I don't. That's how this works. You just create a new identity for yourself, but you can't do that until you remove the old identity first. But once you change who you are, once you create that new identity, you'll begin to see changes in your life. Because like I said, the outer reflects the inner. You have a lot more control over your life than you think you do. But it has to start from inside. You have to change those thought cycles. Now, speaking of identity, I just want to drop this in here real quick. I'm not a NoFap YouTuber. I'm not an ASMR YouTuber. I'm not a spoken word YouTuber. I'm not a vlogger. None of that. I am me. I am myself. And on my channel, you're going to see a wide variety of content, but all of it is reflective of me as a person. I'm never going to drop a video that I don't believe is reflective of me at that time. Now, obviously, I'm constantly growing and evolving like everyone. So over time, the changes in my content will reflect that. But I just wanted to drop that out there. I'm not going to put myself in a box. My primary goal is to provide value to each and every one of my viewers. This isn't just about views. I'm not just making this video just for views. Like, obviously, I need to get views in order to change people's lives. But if it were just about views, I could just sell out and do fake pranks or whatever. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to provide value to you guys and to change your lives and change my life as well in the process. Anyways, I just had to drop that in there. I've been wanting to get that off my chest for a little bit. But yeah, self-forgiveness.